So I'm delighted to be joined now by Ernesto Cevallos and Gabriel Fuertes. Ernesto is the CEO of Proteo Biotech, and Gabriel is the CCO, Chief Commercial Officer, I'm presuming there, Gabriel. And Proteo Biotech is a Mexican fermentation specialist. I think they specialize in precision fermentation and the developing a yeast protein. But before we start talking about the products themselves, could you just give us a background about the company, when you established it, your inspiration, etc.?
Yes, thanks, Nick. Well, it was 10 years ago when I first came into contact with this project, with the idea of developing an alternative protein. I remember how at that time I tried to explain to my family and my friends, my new thoughts, in this business sector where I usually found myself with this question, bio what? Always accompanied by an expression of combined doubt, surprise, and skepticism. Those were times when biotechnology industry was just formally underway, dedicated at that time in first phase of this project. Very, very daring then, but try to value the world of proteins from my experience and participation in the fishing industry where I worked for a few years. So after a few days, I positively evaluate the proposal to invest in the early stage of the projects and having good results. And behind a powerful intuition, I met with a group of Mexican investors passionate about well-being, who through research and science found an alternative solution for nutrition and for the planet. We are aware that we are facing extraordinary challenges and the food industry is facing unavoidable challenges. So, as population grows, malnutrition, the obesity epidemic, and changes in the eating habits of a new generation are seriously straining the current capacity of production. So we are pushing all the resources to their limits. So after a long journey dedicated to research, development of a solid bioprocess and the foundation to establish a company with an excellent commercial and financial projection. We are ready to take off right now. We have production capacity in 3 different plants and engineering to develop standard plants, patent certification, and proven methodology. With a 96% of the technology readiness level, and we are ready to scale industrial production and, of course, going into the market.
So I'm just wondering, you are a first for me. I haven't interviewed anybody for this magazine in Mexico. So I'm just wondering what the landscape is like for alternative proteins in your country.
Well, yeah, when we started 10 years ago, biotech was perceived, of course, as not very scalable and attractive industry at all. Today, this industry has become a transcendent sector through our work here in Mexico. Let's say we are kind of leaders, local, because we are the only Mexican company who is working on biotechnology field. We are seeing markets and multiplications of specialized companies that wants to go into biotechnology, and especially in alternative proteins in particular. I've just returned from Monterrey in the northern part of Mexico, and we have a very successful presentation of all the corporates over in the northern part of Mexico, very close to the U.S. border. Biotechnology started being an extraordinary and expensive field a few years ago, and today has developed to be increasingly efficient and economical and scalable. Also, this biotech revolution is turning out to be a real and effective alternative, and it's completely different from previous previous ones in terms of speed, scope, and impact. We found very good partners here who has helped us in scaling with a huge capacity of production. The biotech has developed and evolved here in Mexico, being a very small and experimental activity, and now looks like it's flourished sector and no doubt attractiveness. So this provides us with a potential and influence in many aspects of Mexican business companies, and of course helping the population of having an option of nutrition.
Okay, it's all right. Carry on, Ernesto. The sound just went a bit funny there, but I've made a note of the time. So,
yeah. Well, to end this question, these new generations in Mexico are increasingly looking for healthy and sustainable diets. These new regulations, demands of a cleaner labeling, of course, as we have an obesity epidemic here in Mexico, are also, from our perspective, a clear sign that the growth in Mexico of alternative proteins is exponential. In the following years, the market shows an important growth trend in the inclusion of proteins in nutraceutical and food products. At Proteo, we are working on developing the necessary products to satisfy different food matrices, and also formulation that allow us customers to develop innovative and accessible products.
So, I mean, you've talked about the sort of obesity problem there and food demand. So from your perspective, what are the key drivers and challenges that are shaping the growth of the alternative protein industry?
Yeah, as we are all aware, Nick, we are facing an evident climate and nutritional crisis as a planet. The population growth in these coming years poses enormous challenges. The demand for new proteins is a matter of great meaning and value. According to the UN, a protein deficit of 265 million tons is expected to be within the next 25 years. To satisfy this market, Proteo, we face and work every day on different fields. We are committed to achieve the opening of awareness and acceptance in this industrial sector of an existence of a new technology and new alternative proteins. Very importantly, we are working together with some companies on the parity and flavor, of course, in the making of the price of the product competitive, complying with these function requirements of the different food and nutraceutical matrices for various industry and markets. We are also seeking to promote mechanism and formulations for this cleaning label. We are also scaling and producing at a very important industrial level. So we are working to resolve the national and international regulatory aspects going into these Mexican regulatory institutions, but also on the FDA and looking for opening up our authorizations on the European market too.
Fantastic. So we can expect to see you at some point in Europe. So how does Proteo position itself within the broader alternative protein landscape? I mean, what unique value proposition do you offer compared to other players in yeast?
Yeah. Well, Nick, we are convinced that biotech emerges as an innovative and promising solution, and is why Proteo embraces nature to its capacity to nourish us. Proteo, we connect with nature intelligence in order to transform a natural and invisible process into a bioprocess accessible to the industry and the population. We are leading edge of the new generation of alternative proteins, as I said, particularly here in Mexico, And we have to take advantage of this biotech to innovate and provide solutions to the industry. We create a bioprocess aligned with the future trends and needs, and we contribute to the nutritional and quality of life of the population. And of course, very important, promote sustainability of the planet. Well, now in 2024, Proteo, under its precision fermentation bioprocess model, have already succeeded in producing an extraordinary alternative protein to develop a nutritious and healthy food, and also a food supplement for the nutraceutical segment in a more efficient and with exponential scalability. We are in control of the structural variables, and with the technology already mature, we are already cruising speed, starting to develop our full potential. Our strategy goes beyond commercializing protein. We have designed business model to establish alliance and commercialize, potentiate our technology with strategic partners in so many different industries.
Mm-hmm. Gabriel, are there any specific segments of the market, plant-based or cultivated meat, where Proteo sees the most significant opportunities?
Well, we are convinced that in the nutraceutical and the food supplement market is a sector in which our bioprotein can strengthen formulations, including with other vegetable proteins, with vitamins, with antioxidants. But we also believe that the food market represents an important opportunity to strengthen different matrices and above all to innovate in the creation of new matrices in dairy products. We're talking about milk, yogurts, cheese, meat, sausages, among others. The plant-based market for vegan and vegetarian diets is definitely also important target. The nature of these proteins allows us to cover this market, providing important characteristics to different formulations.
Now, Ernesto mentioned the overarching problem. So let's talk about those. The United Nations, as you said, predicts a population of about 9.7 billion people by 2050. So with more people, the total demand for protein will naturally rise to meet nutritional needs. How can yeast protein contribute to addressing the global future protein crisis?
Thanks, Nick. Well, I think it's necessary first to understand that today climate change is continuing its course without containment. We understand that in the coming decades, the water stress already present will increase. So the difficulty of accessing water will be increasingly palpable and dramatic, not only in this countryside, but in all urban areas. The temperature is also projected to have risen to about 3.2 degrees, and the phenomena such as severe droughts, fires, will become more frequent. We are aware of that production, despite our efforts, will have been declining by 2 to 6% every decade due to soil degradation, drought, the effect of greenhouse gases, rising the temperature and decline in the sea level and population. But also, Nick, let's also think about this. There are predictions that the United Nations, the UN, that by 2035, between 500 and 700 million people will have been forced to leave their homes solely as a result of soil degradation. Moreover, according to this United Nations data, in 2050, the Earth will be inhabited by between almost 10 billion people. We are now about 7 million. And in order to feed ourselves, we will need to produce almost twice as much food with the resource equivalent to the 70% more than we demand on our planet Earth today. Mm-hmm. Also, according to the FAO data, hunger and malnutrition will never have fallen below the 10% of the total population. Meanwhile, more than a third of the population suffers from diabetes, and there will be more obesity children than hunger children. Obesity will be the real pandemic of the 21st century, and it will always affect more than 230 million people, of which more than 3 million will die each year. For this reason, for many other reasons, some of a collective nature and others of a personal nature, it is fundamental urgent that we open up our awareness and dimension all these issues of water, those of aberrant and growing hunger and malnutrition, those also of the importance of food sovereignty on countries such like ours, vision a solution, those new ways of producing our food, on how to encourage healthier and more responsible lifestyles for the planet, making us all, as far as possible, part of a public and private agenda of sustainability and support for climate change. Having said that, at Proteo, we are clear that we are facing extraordinary challenges and that food system in particular faces unavoidable and inalienable challenges. In summary, our message is that population growth, malnutrition, the obesity and epidemic, and in general, changes in the eating habits of the new generations seriously strain the current capacity for food production, and we are dramatically pushing resources to the limit on a path that connects, as we have already said, with global challenges such as climate change, biodiversity, and the health of the planet, its soils, and the people who inhabit it. What a problem, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But going deeper, while this is happening, not everything is chaos. It is that favorably, we live in a time where solutions such as biotechnology are emerging and strengthening, which will be radically transforming the world of food. We believe that. Today, we are already entering the world of bioprocess, intelligence, artificial intelligence, food engineering, neuroscience, epigenetics. And the most important thing about this, that this technological revolution turns out to be a true and effective alternative, and it's completely different from the previous ones in terms of speed, scope, and its capacity for impact. And that is precisely where we are at Proteo, fully in this biotechnology industry. And we are right in the center of the tsunami. Although we have started a few years ago, it is a fact that as an industry, we have entered somewhat late, but we have certainly done so with much strength and drive that we feel that we are already part of an unstoppable movement. We are witnessing a real implosion, a real boom, and it is so, in a part thanks to a generation of entrepreneurs like us who have been at the forefront of the revolution, approaching the challenge from completely different worlds such as science, biological research with chemistry, human health, mental health, marketing, anthropology, and even in a very marked way, we will soon be posing a public agenda necessary to pave and support the aforementioned solutions for the benefit of the world. Now, this is why we want in this effort with you, Nick, and your network to present Proteo as a company in the biotech industry that was born as a response to all the challenges. And we are business initiative like ours that will be instruments capable of contributing by creating tools, innovation, products, processes, and business models in which we can strengthen the path and create together an ecosystem and a world of solutions and opportunities to help and serve to the planet.
Mm-hmm. What particularly fascinates you about yeast?
Well, good question. The production of yeast protein is an ancient process, but with currently technology, it represents a real solution. This precision fermentation is, in my opinion, the new alchemy. Initially, it all began in the 19th century with this French chemist, physics, and bacteriologist, Louis Pasteur, who began to study, control, and manipulate microorganisms. Already in the 20th century, the industry learned to scale this capacity to. From microorganisms, generate multiple products such as enzymes, vaccines, or drugs in a controlled manner. It is the same technology, but improved by much more modern fermentation techniques that we are now applying to generate a bioprocess through which we obtain our yeast bioprotein and many other products with these extraordinary and sensory and functional attributes. Today, industrially, we are experiencing the challenge of moving from a pharmaceutical world which manufactures drugs from application in small doses to that of the food and nutraceutical industry, which seeks to manufacture tons of product to feed and nourish the population, and in which certainly has the potential to generate unprecedented disruption through a food and nutraceutical system. That's it.
Besides traditional uses like bread and beer, what is the potential of yeast and what are the applications of yeast protein, Gabriel?
Well, yeast protein may be used in many different matrices and formulations. At Proteo, we are developing right now different versions of our bioprotein so that it can be used for different segments of the industry. As we talked earlier, we see the nutraceutical products and the food supplements as a particular industry where our protein can work. Smoothies, nutritional bars, in meat, the meat foods, sausages, flours, pastas, and bakery. In fact, we have done many different tests in these areas, and it has worked very, very well. We think it could be used in juices and in energy drinks, in different dairy products. In fact, in other industries not likely for human, like pet food, it could be used there too. So it's a very usable yeast protein and it can be used in different sectors of the industry.
And what special qualities does it have as a protein, as an organism?
Well, as an organism, it has an excellent amino acid profile. It has a lot of fiber, about 22% of fiber, a very, very low sodium content. In fact, we are developing a product, a formula, to use the protein as a reductor for sodium and helps this in final formulations and in final products. It's free for heavy and metals and toxins. Of course, it's important. It's free of allergens and gluten, so that other proteins have this problem. But yeast protein is completely free of this. Because of our process, it's not a GMO ingredient. It's not modified. It's a natural product. Contains different bioactive peptides with different antioxidant activity. Have a minimal levels of sugar, minimal levels of fat. So as you can see, it's a very nutritional protein, and it could be a very nutritional insume for different matrices and formulas.
Yeah, complete protein with lots and lots of applications. Now, what are some of the environmental benefits?
The same process we use, it reduces the use of land and reduces the use of water. That's partly the focus of this process, trying to get the field to the industry and be more efficient. Land and water are highly exploited resources for the production of other types of proteins. You can see that to produce 1 kilogram of Proteo, you requires about 20 liters of water, while in other proteins, such as animal proteins, you requires as much as 15,000 liters, or vegetal proteins that require 2,000 liters of water for the production of 1 kilo in each case. So the process has a very high productivity. We can produce in 24 to 50 hours cycle. We can produce a very big amount of protein. It is based on a circular economy model. And all the process we have, all the DNA was conceived and was designed to be sustainable. With a high productivity, you can make plant replicability to increase the scalability of this. Is very profitable in terms of economic. You can use this production in a vegan and vegetarian market, as well as animal diets. So as you can see, we are trying to use the resources as efficient as we can in the industry to have a sustainable process. I think this is what the future of the planet needs.
Yeah. And you talked about production capacity there. How do you envisage scaling that production to meet the growing demand?
You're asking me, Ernesto, or me?
Yes. Either you or
okay. Our product is a bioprotein with a very high nutritional and biological level. So far, with Pro50 is our actual product. Contains 50% of protein and is perfect to develop high quality formulas and products as supplements, nutraceutical premium food. We are now developing Pro40, Pro40, Pro60, Pro70. As I told you earlier, and other products to reduce sodium. We are adding some materials as selenium to have a Pro50 with selenium to offer products that may be a solution for different applications. as we talked earlier, as bakery, beverage, milks, meat, etc. I don't know, Ernesto, if you want to talk a little more about this.
Yes. Well, our strategy, Nick, is to promote our technology, and our bioprotein process with a very sturdy innovation and research development machinery of with global corporations. So on food and nutraceutical companies promoting very positive and interesting model of open collaborative innovations for the immediate future. As a Mexican initiative, we want to play in this global market. That's why we are very happy about this opportunity to communicate through you, Nick. And we, very at the forefront and very close to the most disruptive innovation in the world, and thus be one of the companies that will be leading this race. We want to become a reference in the business hub. Our proposal is based on exploring our technology for our own consumption and to detonate also other markets in alliance with our clients. Through this new strategy, with the business model such as licensing, co-investment, CMOs, and any other model of common interest. The model is designed to scale production capacity to meet future demand for alternative proteins in any market.
Gabriel, how are you researching and improving the functional properties of that product? So texture, binding, emulsification for various applications.
Okay. Well, through our R&D, research and development area, we are, and with our technical team that is integrated, made up of top-level researchers, and hand with our customers, we work to devise formulations to warranty organoleptic and techno-functional conditions of different products. We work very hard in trying to make the flavors and the performance in emulsification and the texture conditions of the final products to work together with in a formula with our protein, with our bioprotein. So we are using and testing with maskers and with a combination of different proteins, combining Pro 50 with other vegetal proteins, and all this to achieve products that may be in the liking of the consumers, in terms of flavor, in terms of consistency, in terms of look, that these products become attractive for consumers.
And also important is nutrition. So could you perhaps describe the nutritional composition of yeast protein, especially compared to traditional proteins?
Okay. Well, Pro 50 is, first of all, an excellent source of protein to add to food products. We have done tests where it increased the capacity of protein of final products. It is its high degree of hydrolysis make it highly bioavailable. That improves absorption to the body. Due to this high protein content, it can be added to a wide variety of products to fortify them and to achieve labeling as good source of protein or high protein content, complying with nutritional requirements and complying with international regulations. Pro 50 contains a high content of minerals, of which iron stands out. And this stand out of iron participates in the hemoglobin complex for the transport of oxygen through our body. As I told you a few earlier, the low sodium content of Pro 50 make it an excellent option to use as an ingredient in food and to avoid problems that has to do with hypertension conditions and to prevent cardiovascular diseases. A characteristics that differentiate this protein from plant-based proteins is that it's gluten-free, which represents a serious problem for celiacs, mainly children or consumers sensitive to this protein who can consume Pro 50 without posing a risk to their health. Pro 50 is very low in fat and very rich in a dietary fiber. That makes it very powerful. It's a very powerful statin ingredient, and therefore a very good ally to weight loss diets. So it has a nutritional composition that could work for many applications.
Mm-hmm. What partnerships or collaborations are you considering with manufacturers to enhance the functionality and consumer acceptance of their products?
Okay. We're actually right now talking with manufacturers of supplements that contains proteins, vitamins, antioxidants, and that are developing different products focused in specific sectors of such as athletes, older people, people with diabetes, and the intention of all this is to take advantage of the characteristics of our bioprotein of Pro 50 to develop products that respond to the needs of different markets and to these markets. By applying Pro 50 in their formulations, with these manufacturers, they seek to generate the necessary protein intake while taking care of sugar levels, fats, sodium, and to take advantage of the nutritional quality of their components, such as fiber and amino acids. So try to create formulations to go to specific markets is one of the ways we are collaborating with our clients and with different manufacturers.
Ernesto, how do you plan to address potential customer concerns regarding the use of yeast as a protein source in alternative meat and dairy products? And I guess that applies to biotech in food generally as well.
Yes, Nick. Well, if there is one thing that characterizes today's world is that in terms of technology, structural and conjunctural factors are enormously dynamic, and therefore the only constant is change. That's why we are trying to communicate to all of you that we are prepared to be better adapted and to be able to add to the changes that are going to come. That's why we will be making a communication effort, disseminating how we have been solving multiple challenges, such as to reconcile productivity with sustainability objectives, also to maintain a strong industrial activity and meet it with a profitable and sustainable business. Also to generate formulation and matrices where the flavor and the texture meet the needs of the consumer, which is very important, and no less important also how we have allowed a process of maturation in order to put in the collective consciousness the value and the immense contribution of this sector of biotechnology and of the alternative proteins to our lives, our health, our well-being, and of course, our companies and the planet.
Gabriel, could combinations of yeast-derived proteins and plant-based ingredients create synergistic effects, leading to more complete and nutritious protein sources? How can these be optimized for specific applications?
Okay. Well, I think that combining different types of proteins, it's a must. We can get the best of everything and use the technology to give more nutrition or better nutrition. To promote organoleptic conditions, to create formulations richer in nutrients, and in the specific case of supplements, specific formulations can be developed for different types of market segments. With the development of new sciences like nutrigenetics, alternative proteins can be an input that facilitates the creation of specific diets. So I think that combining and creating formulations by integrating different kinds of proteins can be a solution to create more nutritional food for the planet.
Well, it seems to me that your product, this yeast protein, is fantastic. It's from Mexico to the world. So, Ernesto, Gabriel, thank you very much for joining us at Protein Production Technology International. It's been fascinating talking with you, and I look forward to meeting you in person.
Nick, it was great to talk with you too.
Cool.
Yeah, the same. Nick, thank you. I'm very happy. I've been participating in your webinars, and it is good looking at your logo and yourself. We're very happy to go through your network and communicate effectively that Mexico is doing its job in this biotech field. And we have come up with a very, very sturdy technology and a great product such as this yeast protein. So thanks a lot, Nick.
No problem. Nice to see you.